How you doing? It's another episode of JT Corn Rings, Corn Ring Talk, and today we have another corn ring artist all the way from Britain. His name is Josh Wood. Josh has an IG and also an Etsy page you have to check out. Makes beautiful work. One of my favorite corn ring creators of all because just the subtleness of his pictures and also the beauty of his rings. And you definitely see a couple of them today. And you'll have an opportunity to learn a little bit more about Josh. So I will definitely have Josh come on now so you can be introduced. But I want to first show you some of his work. Here we go. Hey guys, here I go. I'm back, and right now we're going to include Josh. Hey Josh, how you doing?
Yeah, not bad. How are you?
Doing pretty good, man. You know, I'm still trying to get used to doing this camera. I'm used to looking at the screen, but now I'm looking straight forward, so it's kind of always awkward. So if you see me looking to the side, I'm just making sure that I have all the dynamics right. But I appreciate you so much for taking the time out. I know we've been planning this for some time now. So I thank you so much for agreeing to do the interview.
No, it's okay. Thanks for having me.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. Hey, Josh, tell the guys where you from?
So I'm from Great Britain, UK, Lincolnshire, but originally I come from a place called Cumbria, the Lake District. So if anybody from America's ever been over, it's normally a place that people go and visit, like Windermere, all of the nice parts of the country. So that's kind of where I'm from. But I live in like a bit of a sleepy middle of nowhere now.
Okay. And you was born and raised?
Yep. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Have you ever been to United States?
When I was very little. Recently I've been to Canada, but I've not been to the States again. I need to get there, really.
Have you met our friend Wade?
No. Not in person.
Okay.
Yeah, I've met him a few times.
Definitely, I definitely would like to go to Canada to meet him. Definitely another good corn ring creator. He's stepping into things, doing some great things now, making personalized silver pins.
Yeah, he's going to be doing one for me soon, and it's from silver.
Most definitely, I received the sterling silver one. I'm hoping to show it on my channel real soon. But Josh, I just wanted to definitely ask you some questions, get to know a little about you. One of the things, what made you want to start punching holes in coins and bending them into rings?
So it started really because my brother made a throwaway comment that he was talking about getting married to his fiancée, and he said that if he was going to do it, he was just going to run off and get married, sort of a very small private ceremony. And he made a throwaway comment somewhere along the lines of, I'll probably just get one of those coin rings or something like that. And it got me thinking it would be a really nice present. It would be a really nice gift for me to be able to make his wedding rings for him. He's since decided he's probably not going to get married. He's still with her, but he's just not going to get married. So that kind of sort of started me off on this sort of trip to making coin rings. Started off like everybody else does with a hammer and a mandrel, and you sort of go from there, and you eventually get to a point where you just buy more and more tools and invest more time and more money into it, and then you get to where you are now, where you get a bit obsessed.
It's an addiction.
It is.
Like you say, you start off with the mandrel, the hammer, and then you listen to other coin ring creators. And what happens is you see more tools. Before you know it, you're spending thousands of dollars into something that used to be a hobby, but now you formulate it into something as a business. Number the question, you make beautiful rings, but I think 80% of the lore of your rings is your ring selection.
Yeah.
How do you pick your next ring?
A lot of it really is making use of places like the Coin Ring Crafter Facebook group. So, I'll see people have used coins on there, and you think, wow, I've never seen that coin before. So then you jump on places like Numista, so you can start trying to find coins that are similar, that kind of thing. I think it's sort of the aesthetic of having a ring that is maybe, or rather a coin that has got a similar pattern all the way around. So like the rupees and the yens and the cents, where it almost is designed to be a ring, because once you've punched a hole and you've folded it, if you hide it well, you would never know it was a coin.
Yes.
Whereas some, it's quite obvious that the center has been taken out of a coin, and it doesn't look necessarily like a natural ring would.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely right. One of the things that I love, when I start looking at your posts, I start seeing the beauty of having coins from like Europe, because unlike here in the States, we're going to do a lot of rings that have like the United States theme, and we will grab some coins from abroad. But one thing I love about your coin rings is that you dare to choose other countries. One of my favorites, and I'm going to share right now. This is one of my favorite rings. This is when I fell in love with Jin coin ring. I was like, you know what? He's definitely one of my favorites. So this is my favorite coin ring. That right there, I think the Sen. That's my favorite coin ring, hands down. When I saw you make that coin ring, I was like, I think I inboxed you immediately. I think I inboxed you immediately. Like, what coin is that?
Yeah, I remember.
And I remember doing it, and I like, mine do not look like his. What did he do? And you shared to me with a technique that I want you to share, if you would, later on. But what coin ring tickles the fancy of your customers the most? Which coin ring do you sell the most of?
You've got good taste, JT. It's that one.
Wow.
I remember when we had sort of like the run up to Christmas, because I've only been doing this maybe about a year, sort of seriously, where I'm maybe selling them online and things like that. And it was around Christmas time that particular ring started to really become popular and in demand. And I had a lot of people messaging me, asking me to make a Christmas gift and things like that. And it's just one of those ones that's caught a lot of people's attention. Personally, it's not my favorite. It's a lovely thing, but it's personally not my favorite. However, a lot of other people do quite like it. So
the beauty of that ring is definitely the flowers. And we know, if people who haven't seen that coin, it's the 50 yen. I believe that's the name of the
1,000 yen.
The 1,000 yen.
Yeah.
I believe on the reverse part of that coin is the volcano.
Yeah.
Right, and then you have the flowers that are on the left and the right.
Yeah.
When you punch the hole in between, like you said, instantly the beauty of that coin comes out based off the flowers.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I loved about it, because it was like already made. But one thing that you did, what was different? What did you do different with that coin ring that others did not attempt?
So it's the removal of the edge, really, the reeded edge, and then sort of that follows on from that is smoothing down the inside, aiming for a comfort fit, a polished finish on the inside rather. That's something that's kind of developed over time. It wasn't how I initially started, and it wasn't what I picked up necessarily from other people. The coin ring crafters on YouTube, watching videos and things. It wasn't necessarily what other people were doing, but it's kind of what has become my go-to in terms of when I make coin rings. That's what I aim to do with most. Even if I completely butcher what would normally be a really beautiful ring done the traditional way, I always aim for that, because it might create something different. It might create something unique that other people haven't made before. And like I say, it's kind of evolved over time. It started with a customer. She's actually an elderly neighbour of mine, and she wanted the old 1957 Ceylon 5 rupee, which is the one with all the animals around the edge. It's a lovely coin, but it's a huge thing.
That's the 2000-year anniversary of Buddha.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a huge coin, and it makes a huge ring. My wife calls that one the behemoth. It's massive. It's a massive ring. But she really wanted it, and she decided that's the one I want. And like I say, she's this little old lady, and so I had to try and think of some way of like sizing it down to be appropriate for her. And it was the idea of taking the edge off, smoothing the inside down, making it a bit thinner in terms of the band thickness. And that was kind of where it started, and it's just evolved from there.
You did a good job on that ring as well. That's one of my favorite as well. Probably my number 2 that you've done. It made me go out and find a coin. This is one of the things that I like to share. I never told you. When I see your post, I think I've probably been inspired the most. I think Eric from Mint Coin Ring Condition inspired me a lot. But I think your page, because of the artistic approach, the simplistic approach of the pictures placed on the book, so you can see the words of the book, I said, I'm definitely taking that. That right there inspired me the most. I said, man, your pictures are wonderful. Number 2, it was your polish inside. And then number 3 was that hallmark. Absolutely beautiful. You definitely did a good job in picking that, and also how you finished everything. So your presentation is crazy. Even if you don't sell a ring, you can sell the pictures. You do an excellent job in making your presentation known. It's one of my definitely favorites, and I look forward to your post. So with those new additions, those new techniques that you bought out, what you created doing your rings, what else do you do different when you create your coin rings?
So I think, like you say, a lot of it is down to the coins that you choose and where you're choosing from. There is a lot of sort of patriotism that's attached to coins in the United States because of that sort of the patriotism, without going too deep, that kind of patriotism that is within most people in the US, and you just don't seem to have the same level of that here in Great Britain. And so I think that diversity of being able to pick lots of different coins is kind of where I started. And so having a variety, having lots of different things, like you say, from Europe or from Asia, from around the globe, definitely just was a little bit different. And then it was mainly just that idea of the comfort fit. It was Taylor from Bold City that had sort of mentioned the idea of a comfort fit to me, and sort of explained that, and so just sort of going through the process of technique, mastering it, trying it, failing, making adjustments, trying again, needing higher grit sandpaper, more grits, so that you can get that real nice mirror finish on the inside. A lot of it is trial and error and getting things wrong and trying again.
Yeah. What has been the hardest thing for you to learn in making coin rings?
I'd probably say retaining detail when you're reducing is a massive thing. I think the better tools you buy and the more tools that you buy of a higher quality, the easier it makes that. But the number of times that I've always come back and used things like a hammer and a mandrel, if I've looked at something like shape is another thing. You look at the shape and it's maybe got perfectly straight walls all the way around, except there's one little bit where maybe on the inside there was some detail that was slightly thicker on that portion of the ring, and it's just made it so that the wall tapers out at that point. Then putting it back on a mandrel and using a rawhide hammer to sort of try and bring that area alone in. Those basic techniques that you sort of pick up when you start, really do help.
Awesome. Now you mentioned earlier, when I asked you the question about my favorite ring. What is your favorite one?
I quite like half crowns myself, but I don't know. There's particularly the late Victoria half crown. So the 1887 Queen Victoria half crown is one of my favourites. It's got sort of chain detail around the outside, Yeah, I don't know. I really like the look of that one. But it's one of the few rings that I like the look of the inside as well. So even when you retain the details on the inside, I think it really looks quite nice.
Yeah. It's a beautiful, beautiful coin, made to a beautiful ring. I have recognized one one thing you've done as well. You've taken copper rings and you've been inlaying them with sterling silver. How is that process holding up for the customers? Have you had any complaints about the copper changing their skin color with making these inlays?
So it's one of those things that I'm always very wary about, copper and silver being together, because when they're exposed to things like water, they react with each other. They can react with each other. I tend to try and put a bit of a barrier between them, like a glue or resin or something like that, just to sort of stop them directly contacting each other, so that they don't react. So if you think about copper and silver muck and game, that tends to deteriorate over time because of the reaction that the copper and silver have with each other. I found in the first instance, when I started putting liners into copper rings, that you were still getting green or black or discoloration on your finger, but it was largely due to the fact of the edge of the copper was quite thick. Whereas now, because I thin them quite a lot, and that silver sort of comes right up to the edge of the band, it's not something that I've had cause a problem. I've not had any customer complaints or anything like that, but of course it's definitely something that you need to be wary of. And you're honest with the customer, you warn them, you let them know that this will make it so that you can wear the ring more often, but maybe it's not something that I would want to wear as an everyday ring, particularly if it's a larger ring, maybe a wide band, and it's going to be touching your skin a lot. My wife wears one that's copper with a silver liner, and she wears it every day, and she doesn't have any problems. But each person's skin reacts differently to different things, so it's always being honest with the customers.
Well, thank goodness it's not a toxicity, with the skin, because naturally, copper does have that, and over time it kind of wears, and people get used to wearing it. But I thought it was a good technique that you use, and it also brings a different and a beautiful look to your coin ring. So I definitely want to say good job on that. I wanted to share your Instagram and your website at this time. So let me show that right now, and then I want to ask, what will be your next ring? You guys, I'm talking to Josh Wood, and I just shared his Instagram and also his Etsy page where you can find his works. Josh, how often do you post?
I used to post quite a lot. However, I'm quite busy at the minute with my job and things like that, so it's kind of waned a little bit. So maybe once a week, twice a week if I'm lucky, but as often as I can.
Okay, and they definitely can find your page and find your work on Etsy, and I'll leave that in the description. I believe it's gencoinrings.co.uk/Etsy, and I'll make sure I'll leave that. You'll see his prices and see what he has to offer. You definitely love his page. He does great work, and as you've seen, pictures don't show any justice. I know they're even more beautiful in person. What's your next ring on the bench, Josh?
So I think I'm torn between two, really. One of them is either the Egyptian 50 piastres, which is it's the iconic one with the wings. Really, really nice one. I've got a few of those now in stock, and it's something that I'm really desperate to try, especially now that I'm getting into stone setting. So I can set a stone in the center. I think it would just look really nice. But then also recently I've posted a couple of Perth Mint 1 ounce rounds that I did. So there was the double dragon, and there was the dragon and the tiger. And I've got the third of that series, the dragon and phoenix, still to do. So I want to do all three of them, so I can get a nice kind of family photograph with all three of them together. But that's one of those two. It'll be one of those two, I think.
Well, that Egyptian coin is one of my favorites as well. So I'm looking forward to see what you do with that. I made three so far. I had two success, one fail. But I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with that. I do have one more downstairs. I'm kind of scared to do it because I asked some of my followers on Instagram should I make it because this is a rare Egyptian coin, and they told me not to touch it because there's not many were made of this one. And I'm like, I'll leave it alone. I'll see can I find another one. But does that bother you? I mean, the numismatic aspect of people's choices. Like, hey, I know a lot of coin collectors don't really like coins to be touched.
Yeah.
Do you have any feeling towards that? Did that sway your judgment?
Yeah, so there's an element of that. I mean, I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't. I say probably wouldn't because you never say never. But I would never seek to destroy something that was incredibly rare or very collectible or anything like that. What I tend to do is I tend to look for things where they were minted in the millions. So there's lots of them. It was circulated, so it's not necessarily going to be something that's sought after, rather than something that's coming from somebody's collection that's costing, maybe worth a lot of money. On the other side of things, I've only ever had one request where somebody has sent me the coin, and it was a penny that was circulated. So it was a modern penny as well. So it wasn't worth anything. It was a sentimental thing. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily seek to do that, and I wouldn't necessarily say never, because somebody might decide, actually, I've got something in my personal collection, I'd like you to turn it into a ring for me because that's what I want for it. But I agree with collectors on one sort of side of the thing, because of the fact that they are worth a lot. They're never going to be made again. Destroying, just changing their use, I suppose, from a coin to a ring. I understand the hurt that some coin collectors would feel.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I do have some sensitivity when it comes down to certain coins, especially when it came down to the rupee of the 2,000 years of Buddhism. My local coin store, he called me and told me he had that coin. And I didn't want to touch it because he said, man, this one here is in very good condition. You don't see many of these. And remember, they only did maybe 250,000 minted those coins. So you won't see a lot in great condition. So I said I'll wait to find something in little worse down the line. And then I'll make it. And that'll be my first one. So, but Josh, I thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to do this interview. I definitely wanted to have it and have opportunity to talk to you, ask you a couple questions, and I want to show your Instagram and your outro before we leave. Okay, but I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much, guys, for this opportunity.
Thank you.
All right, you take care, my friend.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.